Well played, TABATA. Well played. Thank you to our $5 patron, Sinis Lancelot, Art Goon, and Praise the Sun. And big thank you to our $25 patron, the Mr. Greed. Now, before we hop into this breakdown/review of chapter 331 of Black Clover, please leave your own list on the chapter in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you aren't already. Also, make sure you hit that little notification bell so you miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month. Any support would be appreciated. Now, let's get into last week's poll. So, last week I ended up asking y'all a pretty simple question. How did we feel about the end of the Spade Kingdom arc, the supposed end of the Spade Kingdom arc? And with a hefty 79%, we got bad. Great arc, but bad ending. And notably, 21% was a great arc with a great ending. And I'm not necessarily too shocked about that. I know, like, Disney Clover slander appeared out of everywhere. And notably, even I fell into the trap. Well, no, it wasn't even a trap. I still agree. The thing is, right, the reason I'm assuming, and based off the comment section of that post, shouts to the 233 votes, by the way, the main thing that I assume was the lack of stakes, right? That's what got us at the very end. Like, all the stakes just went away. And notably, even with this chapter, which is, I suppose, the new end of the Spade Kingdom arc, especially since we're going on a 3-month hiatus, I still don't think it fixes it. Like, even if we get an explanation, the idea of all those stakes being set up and them all paying off with nothing at all, I don't know. That was the main reason I had an issue with the arc, right? Like, it felt like we had been building up to so much stake, so much drama, so much weight was put behind the situation, and then nothing happened. And while I will admit there is a very, very, very cool theory that has come out of this entire situation that I would be fine with, I still think some of this chapter even devalues some parts of the arc, and even in the end, really, still doesn't excuse the arc's whole lack of internal consistency in terms of stakes. Like, the ending of the arc kind of takes whatever serious nature that the arc had and just shoots it in the foot. And as regardless of how good this chapter is, it doesn't really change that. So I still am aligned with the great arc bad ending. Because to be fair, I do really like the Spade Kingdom arc. Ever since the fight with Dante, all the way back at the beginning of this arc, I still think this arc is amazing. And obviously I love Nacht. I love all the characters that were introduced. I love a lot of the fights and the interactions, all the stuff like that. All that's great. But that ending, that final villain, definitely folded. And enough of that. Thank you for participating in last week's poll. I love getting these community consensuses and stuff like that, reading your comments, having a discussion. It's always fun for me to do. So make sure you get your own views. Make sure you get your own views in next week's poll or tomorrow's poll, dropping at 12 p.m. Make sure you get your input on next week's video, or should I say next 3 months video, because we are on break. But regardless of that, let's hop into chapter 331. What's up, guys? Untitled Chapter, and here we are to chapter 331 of Black Clover, which is known as "And the Time Starts to Move." So we open up and we get to see that a theory was right. Notably, this chapter is very like, hey, no, it's really TABATA saying, hey, you know those 2 big theories you had caused by this arc? Wouldn't it be wonderful if somehow, some way, I just made them true? So we see Nacht is taking to go and meet somebody, and we see gets to run into his mom. But Nacht, quick question, bro. Why your hands out like that? What you trying to grip, my boy? What you trying to grip? Why you got 3 hands just moving out like that? However, regardless of Nacht's handy problem, it's crazy. I love Yudo's reaction, right? And notably, now that I look at it, and to be fair, TABATA has an art style, but still, he really does look exactly like his mom. Like, do we ever actually get to see his dad's face? I don't actually remember if we had to see Yudo's dad's face, but I'm assuming just the hair curliness came from him. He's an exact carbon copy. But it's really cool to see that she's alive, honestly, considering the fact that we never actually got a confirmation of her perishing. I think that's what led to the whole theory that she was still alive and likely leading the resistance. But it's cool to see it finally confirmed, right? Like, this is no longer just a theory. The queen of the Spade Kingdom, Ciel Grinnybarrow, is here, and she is finally getting to meet her son after who knows how many different years. And honestly, I mean, I mean, I guess it probably would have been good to raise a baby. But like, notably, I'm questioning both mothers of our MC and Deuteragonist here, where I'm like, okay, so, Sita, you gave up Asta to auction immediately. Sia, you gave up your son to auction immediately. No, I'm kidding. Both mothers had their reasons, obviously, but I just find it ironic that both mothers of our two MCs really are like, yeah, you know what? Due to outstanding circumstances, you got to go. And now, I mean, well, Asta gets closure with his mom, but actually has one of those. And you can tell by the look on his face that he didn't think that was possible. And the funny thing is, right, we get to see, it's so hilarious, right? I guess Yuno can actually remember that time of his birth, I suppose, because he has the flashback to that. But just the look on his face, he's like, what? like I can't. I wish. I understand why we don't. It makes the moment all the funnier. And who knows? Maybe his thought process is this flashback. But I gotta imagine like what is running through his head right now. He's like, oh, Mom, I have one of those. Why doesn't Asta have one of those? Does Asta have one of these too? I don't know. What am I supposed to do here? I remember this, but I don't remember this. What is happening? I'm so confused. Why am I here? Wait a minute. She's my mom. She's the queen. There's no king. Is my dad alive? Wait, no, I don't have a dad. Wait, do I have a dad? I have a mom. But if I have a mom, I have to have a dad. But is my dad? Like, I know he's glitching right now. He hard glitching right now. Even Soph is shocked to see that his mom is alive, and I know still is having that internal breakdown. And it is cool to see that Ciel is just so happy to see her son, right? Like, she's happy and she's proud too. Not just that he's safe, but he's become such a fine young man growing up and doing all he's done for the kingdom. Like, notably, he's done more work for his kingdom than he can ever realize by taking down the Dark Triad. But he should have taken down the Dark Quartet. No, I'm kidding. But of course, it's cool to see that. Obviously, he got his mama back, and that's always great to see. We love familial bonds, and it's hilarious. Like, once again, you could even see. I mean, I think that's her hood, though. Like, I don't think that's. Well, maybe it's not a hood. I don't know. But in the little silhouette where you get to see get tackled by his mom, it doesn't even look like he's hugging her back. But he may be. That may be his arms. But it's also kind of hilarious to think about, right? I'm assuming has such a hard time associating with this because, like, that's his only memory of his mom. He grew up in an orphanage for a majority of his life. So his mom may be happy to see him because that's her son, but the concept of his mother here is kind of just like, oh, huh, neat. Like, I doubt Yuno's having. It's not like these two are reuniting after an extremely long period of time. He was an infant, a newborn at that. Then he got dragged away to another kingdom and grew up his entire life there. Like, I'm not saying the bond between a mother and son isn't inherently strong as anything, because obviously it is. Like, the amount of just look at their reactions to each other. But in terms of like actual deep personal connection, kind of in a dead zone right now. But of course, we get to see that. Obviously, the next big thing is that, well, a queen consort is very, very cool and all. His mom, very neat. The main thing of note is that is now, by all technicalities, crown prince, if not just flat out the king if Ciel decides to not become queen again. So, what does that mean? Is Yuno going to leave the Clover Kingdom and come to the Spade Kingdom, as is his birthright and kind of responsibility? Like, I would say this whole kingdom is by blood right his, and notably, out of all the people we've seen from this kingdom, he seems like the only one qualified enough to actually protect it in case something goes down. And even then, he's not even the mightiest, so obviously they need all the help they can get. But once again, going back to the thing with his mom, this may be his kingdom by birthright, but at the same time, he also just got here, or returned here, what, a day ago? Like really, when we think about it, how long was this arc in their time? And not even like Lucius time hacks theory. Like, in terms of, didn't they arrive at like sunrise or something like that? Like, honestly, he's been returned to his kingdom for a very short period of time. So he likely, once again, has very little emotional investment in there. He has an entire life that it'd be kind of hard to leave. Like, imagine if you just were randomly revealed, like, oh yeah, by the way, there's this whole other country that you have deep familial bonds to, that we now need you to rule, even though you've never considered actually being a ruler. And by the way, you've just met all of us in the matter of a couple weeks, if not days, if not hours. Want to come rule? Like, notably, I can definitely see why would have hesitation. Heck, even I would have hesitation about this. Like, cool, a kingdom, but I also have like another family. Now, like, can't mom do it? Like, legitimately, I would be like, I'll come in a bit, but at least let me go settle my affairs or something like that. Like, I don't know. Would y'all do that? By the way, like button is free. You know that? And also the subscribe button. They don't tell you about that one too often, but both like and subscribe button are free. And they really help out the channel if you hit them. However, on top, regardless of that, back to the topic. Like, would y'all take that? I know, I feel like in our day and age it's different, because you would have access to so many resources. But like, in Yuno's position, where you were offered rulership of a kingdom you know little to nothing about, with people you know little to nothing about, are you going to take that? Because notably, I know, especially if I'm living Yuno's life back in the Clover Kingdom, I think I may just chill. I may be like, I mean, I'll do it later. I wouldn't take it immediately, knowing me. But I'm not sure. Actually, tell me in the comments down below. Are y'all taking the offer that was made to Yuno here to come and rule the Spade Kingdom, to offer your strength to them? Let me know. In those circumstances too. In those circumstances where you grew up elsewhere with no knowledge of your royal heritage for your entire life up to this moment, but now you're just offered this. That was loud. But now you're just offered this. So let me know down below. However, we get to see. I love how, while Yuno looks extremely pensive, Sylpha's like, King Yuno. Like, that is very menacing. And we see that CL is obviously on side, return to our kingdom now, child, before I beat you. Because she's like, there are a lot of things we need to talk about. So I know this must be so sudden and hard to accept. And, like, before she can even finish the sentence, Yuno's like, hey, I'm not going to lie to you. I would love it. This would be great. And I would greatly appreciate being able to use my ability to assist you. However, the future is still uncertain. And I have made vows that I must keep. I am spitting right now because my Clover Kingdom, my dearest friends, and my rival, the man I made a vow with, I can simply not allow that. Like, technically, I'm not sure. Did the Spade Kingdom have a Wizard King, or is that just a Clover Kingdom thing? Did the Heart Kingdom even have a Wizard King? So maybe it really is just a Clover King tradition. But, like, hypothetically, you could just game the system here. If that's the value you want to keep, like, you could just game the system and be like, oh yeah, now we in the Spade Kingdom are Wizard Kings when we are the royal line, because I'm the mightiest mage within the kingdom. Asta, suck my toes. Like, legitimately, he could really just do that, but I know he wants to earn it genuinely. However, we don't get that revealed just yet. We get that he made a vow, then we cut away, and we get to see. I wonder how. But now that I think about it, I wonder how Sale's reacting to that. Like, this darn stupid child is gonna come take over my job before I come lose my mind. Like, I know she's probably mad. Well, probably not too mad. I guess she would probably understand. She's a full-grown woman, but still, like, imagine all that time. You wait for your son to be alive. You wait for him to grow up. He finally returns, and then bada bing, bada boom, the man's gone. He's like, by the way, I'm not gonna take up my responsibilities. Mom, you rule the kingdom. And notably, reasonably, Yuno's mom should be pretty strong herself, probably just not on the level of Yuno, because she does have moon magic, right? Or, like, I think, yeah, moon magic. I'm pretty sure that's the thing, right? And that's what leads to Yuno's star magic, because his dad had sun magic, his mom had moon magic. So I think it should be fine. Like, she should be able to rule pretty decently. However, now I flip to you an alternate question. If you are the kingdom that just found your royal consort, and your consort is revealed to be extremely super duper omega powerful, are you going to let him leave back to his old life, or are you going to say, no, my lord, you need to stay here? Let me know in the comment section, because I think I may force him to stay. Like, I know that sounds like a very contradictory idea to what I just said, but dude, we need him. Like, I see both sides of the argument here now that I think about it. However, back to where we cut away to. We cut over to Asta and Libe. It's Lieb. I'm never gonna Libe. I don't know. Someone I know called him Libe once, and now it's just flipping back and forth in my head. But it's Lieb. Thanks to Lieb, and obviously Asta and Lieb, they're just hanging out on top of a clock tower. Ironically, like like, it's a cool image to see him sitting on top of a clock tower, and it's very symbolic of where this chapter goes. But Asta, oh boy. Why are you posted up on a clock tower? Like, legitimately, what made, and where is everyone else? Why did you conscientiously decide, you know what, despite me being on level flat ground, I'm going to go specifically over to this clock tower and sit down? I don't know. I wouldn't know what that conversation was like. Hey kid, you're gonna go grab something to eat. You wanna come? Yeah. I'll come in a second, Captain Yami. I just need to sit on this clock tower and reminisce about my life. Okay, you weirdo. We'll be going eating. I bet. I wonder how that went. But now we finally get something that I've been waiting for, begging, itching, scratching for like chapters on chapters at this point. But we get to see that Asta's like, yeah. Thanks, Leap. Thanks to you, I was able to see my mom inside your memories. It's not like I held a grudge over being abandoned, but Asta better than me. Asta really, like, I know y'all provide a good justification. Like, well, Lucida may have had some effects on Asta that we don't even know about, so she didn't want to risk it. Very, very true. But, like, I know, to some degree, even if he says it's not like I held a grudge over being abandoned, but I know deep in Asta's heart, he's like, so I had no magic, and you had no magic, Leap. Why'd you get rid of me and adopt you? Like, I know, well, nah, Asta's too nice of a guy for that. But I know I'd be thinking that if I was Asta. Like, we are the exact same thing, except you are a demon, and I am human. This is unfair. But regardless of that, we get to see that Asta is finally acknowledging the fact that it is his mom, and he's happy that he loved her, or she loved him. And, like, bro, then why do you keep saying my partner's mom? Why couldn't you just say our mom? Like, legitimately, how, like, I don't know. It's weird. Like, if you are acknowledging the fact that that is your mother, then why not? Why not just accept it and say it? I don't know. I feel like it would have had a lot more emotional impact than, how dare you kill my partner's mom? But, you know, we let it slide. We let Tabata cook. But we get to see that Leap is like, homie, you too kind, you're too nice. I get it. This is how the contracted demons appear for the most part, but I really wish Leap was full size here instead of just mini Leap. I don't know. I can't take any of the miniature ones seriously. Like, looking at mini Leap with his all black body, his little hair, and he's just chibi. I don't know. I can't take him seriously. But he says,
"You idiot! That's my line. It's thanks to you that I was able to avenge Lucida's death. Thank you, Asta. This time it's my turn to make your dream come true." Yeah.
And I suppose, like, Leap, you realize you've already been doing that, my boy. Like, you didn't really have a choice in that. Like, automatically, you've been helping making his dream come true. But I see what he means there, right? Like, I guess it is interesting, right? Because Leap, as a character, was fully introduced, given a backstory, and given a conflict within this arc. And now it's resolved. I mean, I'm not complaining, but it's kind of crazy how, for the longest time, he was just a background element. Then when he finally became a foreground element, his entire purpose in the narrative was just finished. But now, knowing what I know about the series length, and that all of y'all lied to me. I'm kidding. Not all of y'all. But, like, Black Clover's supposed to be One Piece length, huh? One Piece length? One Piece length. I mean, I can, like, the thing is, right, arguably enough, I'll hold off on that. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But we see that now that Leap his character arc is over, so now he's fully dedicated to helping Asta's character goal, and we get to see both Asta and Yuno declare that they are going to become the Wizard King. And they have their little companions alongside them, still floating by Yuno, and Asta with Leap on his shoulder. So, we're still on that one. And, you know, it's a very, very cool, it's expected for the two, right? Asta never had anything to return to. He's still essentially a prince of nothing. He's just the king of anti-magic, essentially. So he always had the goal that he was going to let rock no matter what. Meanwhile, Yuno, he made a vow. However, maybe you should take care of your kingdom, Yuno. I wouldn't, but maybe you should. However, that's all cool and all. But then we shift in time, if you will. And actually, no, not just yet. But we see that Asta's all happy that he got the people of the Clover Kingdom to admit that he's a good person. And, oh, well, no, they need to do that. And they especially want Damasio to do it, the guy with the magic scales. And Leap and Asta both immediately hate that dude. However, then we finally see the clock that has been frozen begin to move. And we cut back over to the Clover Kingdom. Notably, we see the massive, beautiful Clover Kingdom with the massive castle. Then we see a certain someone taking a stroll, you know, as you do. You know, it's just a beautiful day in the neighborhood. And we see it's Namancio. Speaking of, I speak of the devil. But regardless of that, you know, why did I just say Yuno's name? But we see that Julius is on a call with somebody. He's on the call with Markscoon, and he's happy that the Spade Kingdom battle ended peacefully, right? Like, it's all great and everyone's happy. We had a perfect Disney Clover ending, but something's just a little bit weird, a little bit strange, a little bit fuzzy. The strange feelings that Julius has been having throughout this entire affair, and I want to go back and check those panels myself. I should have done that before the review, but Wizard King, what's the matter? Something isn't right. It feels as if something enormous is about to emerge. Pause. But in actuality, considering what this chapter reveals, so this is. I kind of want to go through the. Actually, no. Let me talk about it in time. So essentially, what Julius is flashing back to is that when throughout the entirety of this arc, he's been feeling strange, right? He's having these weird feelings, and when he went to go defend his kingdom, suddenly he, quote-unquote, ran out of time magic and was forced to revert back to his child state, even when supposedly it was too soon. He should have had access to more time when he reverted back to his adult state. However, something was strange about that, and notably, this feeds into a theory. I gotta get through. I was gonna go in depth here, but I'll go crazy and go stupid towards the end. However, we get to see there's a knock on the door, and Julius welcomes Damancio in, and these two men who happen to be. See, I want to talk about it in time too, but I think I will. So Damancio and Julius were constantly in contention to be the fourth Zogratis sibling. That was just the thing, right? Because we always knew there was a fourth one, but we weren't sure. Like, after the Morris reveal, we weren't sure if it was actually secretly Morris. All this time, we didn't know if the fourth Zogratis sibling was something that was completely made up, if it was just a miscalculation within their memories. There were so many mysteries about it. However, if there were two suspects for hidden Zogratis, it was Damancio, because he looks like them, and Julius, not because he looks like them, but just because it'd be a bomb twist. No, I'm kidding. But also because he actually looks like them as long as you color his hair black. He actually looks very similar. He actually just straight up looks like an older version of Xenon. Would you look at that? And he actually looks pretty similar to Dante, too. So it would make sense that either of these two men would be the Zogratis sibling. But obviously it hadn't been revealed up to this point. And with the arc being over, it seems like, well, maybe neither were. Maybe this is nothing. But then we get to see that Damancio comes in with his research. So he's been essentially doing an analytical breakdown on demons. And he's been looking into the families of demon hosts within the country and all the information he has. Notably, he's gone on a deep dive researching throughout history. And he's found documents from 20 years ago. And the interesting thing is that within the great tree that is supposed to revive the underworld or bring it into the real world, there's no mention of Meji at all. The underworld is said to have three rulers: Lucci, Buggy Boy, and Asta. So that means, at least in terms of this placement, Meji isn't even a ruler she's not a queen of the underworld. She was not meant to be there. Which is, I mean, like, I get it. Like, notably, I have mixed feelings about this, right? Because it actually kind of explains some things when you look at it, right? Because but then again, Yuno showed up and fought. So it puts into contention how strong Demon Heart Xenon is, if we're being completely honest. But the weird thing is, if I had to say the strange thing is, remember how I was complaining that Noelle didn't do anything in the final battle? Because, well, before this chapter, I thought she had beaten one of the Supreme, like everyone else was doing. But if she really wasn't beating anyone, she was struggling to defeat 1/3 of a Supreme demon that wasn't even on the tree. And I think even the fused twins were on the tree, not Meji. What does that mean? What are we talking about? Like, does that mean Noelle's fought her, and that's why she didn't show up in the fight with Lucci? Is that why? Because Meji was never meant to be there in the first place? I don't know. Is Meji just fought her? Like, would Meji get mopped by 50% Lucci, even at full power? Like, I don't know. It seems strange that it's not on the tree. But, obviously, the big one that comes up is the fact that these kings are associated with fundamental parts of the universe, the main rulers. Lucci was associated with gravity, and what comes with gravity but space, and that's Buggy Boy. And what comes with space but time, which is Asta. And we see that according to all of the individuals, or all the recorded individuals, while there have been people with gravity magic, there have been people with spatial magic, there has never been a person with time magic. Except for one. And that one is here. The only person in all of history that could have hypothetically been the vessel for the demon of time would be the Wizard King himself, Julius Novacolono. And even he himself admits, you're right. We had a whole deep flashback about all this information, all the time that we've seen Julius, his only fight in the series, and we see that, you're right, it really is me. And notably, this moment in the chapter sparks a whole ton of debate in of itself. Because of what happens here. Julius acknowledges that it's him, and Damasio freaks, but before anything can really happen, Julius screams, Damasio can quickly, and then he gets like, I'm not even sure if it's brain wiped or mind wiped. But in this moment, like, you see this weird, like, the confusion aura, like, I'm not sure, you know what it's like every single time, like, something weird is happening among you see this kind of filter put over it, and then suddenly, it reappears. The pageless Grimoire. However, we see, well, one, we see that earlier in the chapter, it was called Black Clover, and then we see another bar in the middle, on the left side of the page, that says the final act. But we see that Julius, upon awakening, or restoring himself to his prime, not only gets his full Grimoire back, but he also asks, is that not how you wished things were? And then, the Grimoire that was once pageless is revealed to actually have a cover. And this cover is restored and brought to Julius's hand. And then we see a certain somebody pull up after all this time. Yeah, everything happened pretty much as you said it would. Lucius Zogratis. Time's up. And there we go. After all this time, the final villain of our final act is the summit of our world. The King of Wizards is now our final villain. How appropriate when you think about it. It'd be like, but this is very ironic. It's as if the Hokage were the final villain. It's as if the strongest in the world, well, to be fair, that usually is the case for them being the final villain. But it's as if the Pirate King, like, think of at the end of One Piece, we turn around and we get to see that Roger was alive all along. He sent a copy to go die in his place, and then suddenly he was there, the final bastion, to be taken down in order to achieve the title of Pirate King and achieve the One Piece. Like, I will admit, I like the flip here. Notably, I am not a theory head. I am very new to Black Clover. It's my youngest review series on the channel. It's weird to like say my review series are like children, and like one's way older than the other, but it is my youngest review series. I've caught up very recently, and I've been invested in the series for a very short period of time. So admittedly, I'm not a theory beast. I'm not a theory head. Simply not my thing. However, I did remember hearing about these theories about Lucius Zogratis, or the fourth Zogratis sibling, being Julius, and all the details that are lined up here. And I will admit, shoutouts to all of y'all who theorized and were correct. Same thing to all the Yuno's mom is alive, but I'd say this is a bit more impactful than Yuno's mom being alive. No offense to Yuno's mom, but still. Nice work. And with this being the case, right, it raises a whole bunch of questions, and it brings up a whole nother theory. Notably, a theory that's popped up, and I don't know, I've been scouring the internet, and I will not take credit for the theory because it's nowhere near mine, but you can see it, you can Google it, and notably I don't know who created the theory, but still. There's a certain theory wandering its way around the community that, well, the reason that Julius ran out of time so soon and seemingly was like just weird and feeling strange all this time is because his time magic was being used elsewhere in the Spade Kingdom, and was being used by Lucius in order to repeat and rewind time up until the point where the cast actually defeated Lucci, and that in 15 different other timelines, or how many other timelines, everyone actually did die, and that this Disney Clover ending the reason it feels so strange and out of place and all the stakes are gone and it felt like that is because Lucius specifically needed this timeline in order to achieve Lucci's heart, which would be the goal to something greater. And if such is the case, interesting. I do think it is a very cool twist on the arc. It is a very good way to write off that ending, which was established in chapter 330. However, I still, like, essentially that ending, or that reasoning, to me, and tell me if I'm wrong here, but I can't tell you, or I can tell you that the like button is free. You know that? Also the subscribe button. That's also free. They don't tell you about that one too often, and it really helps out the channel. I greatly appreciate it. But in actuality, the interesting thing here is that this ending, or reveal like that, right? That Lucius had actually planned it all and was constantly reversing time and making the world the way he wanted it to be. It's essentially the same thing as Black Zetsu to me. But I guess Julius is more of a character than Black Zetsu. But it's still like unsatisfying. I don't know, like the fact that, oh, it's all went according to my plan. Like, I don't, like, I've very mixed feelings on it. Admittedly, I'm not too much one way, too much the other way, but at the same time, it's like, I would definitely prefer if that wasn't the case. I'm not gonna lie, but at the same time, regardless, that's the thing, right? Like, an ace and ace, call an ace and ace a spade, but really, I feel like the ending, I'm still gonna, just because it's too good of a name, all right? I'm gonna keep calling it Disney Clover, but the Disney Clover-esque ending, it doesn't, like, it's either unsatisfying because Lucius wrote it himself. I mean that does great for Lucius. It just doesn't do good for the arc or our characters. It makes all the characters seem incompetent and that they need to rewind time a whole bunch. But at the same time, even if that wasn't the case, the stakes just disappeared at the end of the arc. And no one dying, or at least no serious damage being done when the second to final villain shows up. I don't know. I'm still like I think regardless of what happens in terms of who caused this, what the real thing is, whether the Lucius time theory control thing is real or not, I think the chapter 330 is gonna be a lasting sour note. Like I don't think nothing's ever going to change my mind about chapter 330 and really Lucci's defeat in general. I still 100% believe one of the three kings of the underworld going out like that is a waste. I'm regardless of what that is justified as, that's not going to change in my head. However, I will admit, if such is the case, it would be very, very cool and show how much power that Asta, the thing is, Lucius is, I guess we have to go into the other thing, like transitioning away from that theory, which is a very, very cool theory, and I'd be down for it. Like, legitimately, as much as I kind of don't want it, I also would prefer that, because it shows Lucius as an extremely competent super, almost like he's not better than Aizen. All your Black Clover fans, chill. But he's almost on that Aizen tier of planning where it's like, yeah, I just did it all myself, and I think that's very, very cool. But speaking of very, very cool things that have a lot of questions behind them, Julius. Is Julius real? Because notably, there's a big discussion going on right now, at least from what I see online, on whether or not Julius is entirely an act put up by Lucius or a personality set up by Lucius that then leads to a different individual. And the thing is, right, I'm much more leaning towards the idea that Julius is his own separate personality within him, even though I don't like that as much. Mainly because of Julius's reaction. Because he tries to tell Damasio something before he literally looks like he gets hijacked. And normally we've seen him throughout the arc seeming to get hijacked and feel something enormous is coming, and he has all these different weird premonitions and stuff like that, where he seems out of control. Lucius wouldn't act like that if it was all just an act, in my mind at least. So I think the Julius persona is just that, a persona that Lucius set up. How he set that up? However, we do know that it's possible that time magic isn't even actually Lucius's native magic. Remember, Dante had body magic, and then Lucci provided him gravity magic. Remember, Xenon had bone magic, and then he was provided spatial magic. Remember, Vanica had, blood magic, I think? And then was provided curse warding magic. So, it's possible that Julius is an entire fundamental character that was made up by Lucius that was given time magic in order to hide his own natural magic. Considering, it seems kind of legit to me. And a lot of the theories that are like aligning with my view that Julius is actually his own individual being that may have just quote unquote died because Lucius killed the persona, is the idea that he has some sort of mind magic or the ability to. I think mind magic works, like legitimately just that, the ability to manipulate the mind, because that would explain how he's able to still interact even before he fully reveals himself, and at the same time how he's able to sort of manipulate other individuals so well, even in moments that seem strange. Like there are a whole ton of moments in the series where Julius just seems off, and that could be because Lucius, despite hiding behind Julius, is still like pushing at certain strings, tugging at certain strings in order to make sure that certain things happen, and he can only do that with something like mind magic. I'd be perfectly fine with that, and it'd be interesting. Notably, despite that, I actually would have preferred if Julius was all just an act. Like, once again, I know I keep tying it back to Aizen, but I've been seeing the comparisons everywhere, and obviously I just recently read Bleach, so of course even I'm noticing the comparisons. But I actually really, really like the fact that Aizen was just faking being a nice dude. Like, all that he did throughout the series, all that he did was just an act. Well, at least up to the point where he revealed himself. The captain of the 5th Division was never a good person. That's just confirmed. And I think that's really, really cool. I know that's a weird thing to say. Like, you think him being a monster is cool? Yes. Like, legitimately. So I kind of hope that Julius actually is an act and that we're wrong, and that Julius wasn't actually a separate persona made by some other form of magic, and that Lucius was just that good of an actor. But I think there's too much evidence to the contrary for that I really think Julius was a literal alternate persona set up inside the Lucius body. However, another thing to continue, Meli's not serving Bucky Boy. He's serving Lucius, or Asta. And that's interesting, right? Because a lot of the reasons that, but even then, this still doesn't. But what keeps the thing is the reason I thought Meli is just weird. I will admit, like the fact that Asta was on his deathbed and nothing was done about him, even though Asta is like the only threat to someone of Lucius and or Meli's caliber, is just weird to me. I'm not gonna lie. Like the fact that they left him alive kind of seems like short-sighted. And unless we get, once again, stop referencing Aizen pencil, I will never. No, but unless we get like an Aizen like reasoning where Lucius is legitimately just interested in what anti-magic can do, like that part of Julius is a genuine part of Lucius's character, where he likes to see the potential and limits of magic and different types of magic. I don't know why, especially if I doubt Lucius's plans are to like. I just had a horrible thought. Horrible thought. Hey, yo, now hear me out. You know how we don't know who Asta's dad is? And you know how, like, we're in the final act of the narrative? Yeah, what if Lucius is Asta's dad? Does it make sense? What color? The thing is, Asta looks like a direct carbon copy of Lucida, just short, male, and buff. So, like, there are no, like, father-esque features, except for one thing. Asta's somewhat spiky hair. And when we see Julius, when we see Zogratis, Lucius, his hair is kind of spiky. And Lucius may be a terrible individual, but why would he want to kill his own son? I don't know. Like, I don't take that anywhere. There's no evidence behind that other than the fact that their hair look kind of similar, and it doesn't make sense for Lucius to, like, I hope, like, we're making a whole ton of Aizen comparisons right now, but hopefully he isn't just a pure carbon copy of Aizen. Like, I hope he didn't just leave Asta alive because, I find anti-magic such an interesting phenomena that I just couldn't help but watch it and let it stop me in the very end because I'm the final villain and I want to make the same stupid mistake that Aizen did. But, like, legitimately, I don't know. It's still strange. Like, given context, I don't know, especially once Asta served his purpose, right? Because I'm assuming the main reason Lucius kept rewinding time, if that's even a thing, but let's just go with that. Like, let's say this is just the pure prime timeline, and there was no time manipulation done here. I'm assuming the reason that Meli took Lucci's heart and brought it to Lucius is because, I'm sorry, I'm fumbling on my words here. But I'm assuming the reason that Asta was allowed to propagate, even though he's extremely dangerous, is because only someone of his caliber, with his type of magic, could actually defeat even just 50% Lucci. And that's the reason Lucius wanted him alive long enough in order to do that. But once he served that purpose, what's the point of leaving the danger alive? Like, use a tool until the tool could possibly hurt you. Like, I don't really get it. That's a little bit strange. However, I've been kind of just rambling on about theories. By the way, the like button is free. But regardless of that, I've been rambling on about theories for a while now, just because this chapter, it unloads them. And with a 3-month hiatus, you may hear me go into more in-depth thoughts about this. And like, overall, maybe I probably will. 3 months is a long time. So I may dedicate a video here or there to this, alongside all the other things I want to talk about Black Clover. Considering now that I do have a 3 months break to talk about it. And speaking of the 3 months break, that's the next thing we got to address. So, TABATA comes out. And let me just read it verbatim. Hey! If it were solely up to me, I would have pushed onwards without rest. However, after consulting with the editorial department, I'll be taking a long break in order to draw the final arc's manuscripts at my best. I'm sorry for all the readers who looked up Black Clover, who look forward to this series every week. Black Clover is going to be even more exciting, and I promise to put forth all my strength and soul into finishing it properly. So I hope you can wait until it returns. So, unless this final arc is 700 plus chapters, really, what? I know it's probably a lie, but I know One Piece is forecasted to end in what, like 2025, 2026? Even then, like, unless this final arc is that long, this thing ain't gonna be no One Piece length. Lucci was a major final villain. Come on now. Y'all trying to defend and say, what, we're just midway through the series. We're halfway. No, we ain't. We're right at the end. And I do find that ironic, right? Both Horikoshi and TABATA, two people who joined Shonen Jump and started making their popular mangas around the same time, both start to end it pretty much around the same time too. I wonder if they talk about that. I wonder if they laugh about that too. Like, oh, so you're taking a 3-month break, huh? Hey, you're taking 2 weeks off, aren't you? And they just have like fun banter about that, because I'm pretty sure they are friends. Like, these two do hang out. I'm pretty sure. However, regardless of that, TABATA deserves it. Like, as much as I don't like the ending of the arc, I do think he went off. I still love all the artwork in Black Clover. It's still doing amazing. I don't talk about it as much as I praise, like, straight up, like, gobble on Horikoshi's art. But even still, his art is still amazing. And I know it takes a lot out of him to produce this on whatever schedule he has. Even if it's not a week-by-week basis, still being able to do this at all is amazingly impressive to me, even with assistance. So he definitely deserves a break. Let him take his time. We have so many things to talk about Black Clover-wise up until the point where he returns. So I think he readily deserves it. However, that's it. Those are my thoughts on the chapter. Please tell me your thoughts on the chapter in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure that little notification bell so you miss out on any videos that come on the channel. Also, I do a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month. Any support would be appreciated. Thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Dagger the Pencil, writing off.